And I think Austin Hooper's a sleeper. He can come out if they air the ball out. He's going to get targets. Njoku might catch a couple balls, but yeah, I got Hooper as a sleeper. Watch out for him. I think that's the good matchup for him week 1.
So he's actually in my sit category.
Speak easy, baby.
It's easy, baby.
It's easy, baby.
It's easy, baby. It's easy, baby.
What up, though? Welcome to week 1 edition of Speakeasy Sports Fantasy Must Starts, Must Sits. A fantasy show. I don't really know what to call it.
Right.
I apologize. I banned you guys during draft season, but I'm here now. You know what I'm saying? And I'll help you manage what you got. You might got.
This is the most important part right now. Like right before the season, like this is the information everyone needs right now. Like who to start and who not to.
It is. And if you guys don't know, my man to my, is this going to be my, I did it. I usually fuck up these points. This is my man, Jeff, Juicy J, LFA from Woodward Sports. What up, though, Jeff?
How you doing? Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you for coming on, man. All right, so this is show 1. We did prepare you guys for that. And basically how it's kind of a shit show. A little bit, thrown together.
Oh, yeah.
But the way we got it mapped out, we're going to give you 2 must starts at each position and then a must sit. Were you able to do the must sits?
Honestly, I'm gonna throw a must sit in there. I think that's interesting. We can throw someone in there.
All right, bet.
And hey, I'm gonna be a little biased because I got some of these players I'm naming too.
Okay.
Because it's good matchups, man. Like there's plenty of guys to talk about. Like it's some interesting matchups, all positions, QBs and everything.
Well, look, man, you got those players for a reason, right? Like you like them, so that's
like especially in our Woodward Sports League. I think me and you verse week 1. So you know what?
Oh, for real?
And I saw you didn't start AB.
I know. Damn.
So I love it.
What's annoying is like because I have him, and I only have 2 leagues. I have him in both leagues, and I had him in the other one. So I for some reason, automatically assumed had him starting the other one too, in ours. But
no, I looked at the thing. I'm like, oh, he's got Mike Evans. I'm like, oh, it worked out. Yeah. Maybe he had a bad game, man.
God damn. Well, let's get this show on the road, man. Jeff Iafrate, Juicy J. Who's your must start?
Let me start with the running backs. Quarterbacks are all over the place.
Okay.
So I got Raheem Mostert versus my Detroit Lions. And listen, it's a bad. I understand Mostert. You got Kyle Shanahan. It's a run-first offense, and who else, man? But Raheem Mostert. He's going to get the carries, especially in the red zone. They got Trey Sermon. Yep, Ohio State, which he's going to get some action week 1. Obviously, it's the Lions. We know this, but more importantly, this is about who you should start, baby. This isn't maybes or nothing. Jimmy G, he ain't going to throw the ball like Dak on Thursday night. We know that. You know, Raheem's probably going to get anywhere from 15 to 25 carries. So he's a guy I would start against the Detroit Lions because they were last in the run, I think, last year. And, yes, they made some additions. But, man, it's going to be a week 1 of figuring things out. And, what a guy, man. Raheem Mostert's probably going to get a couple tubbies. And we predicted on the show 49ers are going to be upwards of like 30 points, and we know it's not going to come from Jimmy G's arm. It ain't going to come from Jimmy G's arm, all right? So we know that. So Raheem Mostert's probably my one of my must starts, maybe even like a sneaky must start because there's other running backs matchups that you can look at. But I like Raheem Mostert. Yeah,
doing this, it was kind of weird because like there's like your obvious starts, right? Like you guys like I was gonna put Dalvin Cook, but I feel like is that like a week? Like that's obviously a must start, right?
Right. I was just gonna say Dalvin's probably the next one against the Bengals. Like they can't stop the run either. So
exactly. And I was thinking too, and real quick to touch on like Raheem Mostert, like before we like move on from that, like 100% agree with you. Like he's actually on my list as well because like just look at like our run defense and and I get it's preseason, but like Mike Singletary or Devin Singletary, my man, in Buffalo fucked us up in game 1. Like it was ugly. And I don't know if it's because we were playing some basic, sack the quarterback defense or not, but us ranking last year coupled with, Raheem being a fucking beast, dropping 220 and 4 touchdowns in the Green Bay Packers and that, 2 years ago, like he's a dog.
Tell me about it. He's a dog. And that brings me honestly to my other must start, which this isn't obvious. Like a couple of these are going to be obvious, like Dalvin Cooks and stuff. But honestly, my must start, I'm going to throw in, and this is the matchup. Yeah, honestly, I know people are curious. I think this is a great game 1 for Saquon. I think he's going against the Denver Broncos, and I think Chubb's out. And a couple other guys are out. So why not get Saquon in there? We know Daniel, he's going to get tons of carries, and he's kind of an obvious. But I don't want to talk about – let's move on to, like, the Raiders, for example. You got a couple matchups. I'm looking at these week 1 schedule, man. There's so many guys you can start.
There are.
Let's look at the Titans. First, the Cardinals. I know they got J.J. Watt, Derrick Henry. That's someone I want to throw in real quick who be on watch of because people think Derrick Henry – he came off 2K yards last season. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of drafts, where do you fall in your draft? Like, you were in a couple drafts. Where do you go?
It's a good question. I think he went like 5 or
No,
6.
not like last year. Yeah, 5 or 6, and he's going to start game 1 against the Cardinals, which they had a J.J. Watt. They got Chandler Jones. They got a pretty serious defense. So that's a guy I would honestly be like a little worried about. That's probably most guys are running back ones, and they got a pretty tough matchup week 1. So don't play around with that, man. But yeah, you got Dalvin Cook as the easy second one. I mean, that is the guy I had, because you got a Bengals defense who is atrocious, and they added a wide receiver in the first round pick, so they're not improving in that area. And Dalvin Cook's going to have a field day. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Adam Thielen. We know the wide receivers, but dude, like, Dalvin Cook's the man. And he had 1,500 yards last year, almost led the league in touchdowns. That guy coming back, don't count him out. So that's my other pick. You got Dalvin Cook, Raheem Mostert. Those two guys, like, must starts for me. There's a couple other matchups you can go with. Like,
that's actually like my list pretty much too. Like Dalvin was my guy, and I was like, well, maybe Dalvin's a little bit too obvious of a must start. But like, when it comes to Dalvin against the Bengals, like, can you name me a single like Bengals defensive player?
No, I mean, they have a good safety. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, so definitely Dalvin. I had so it's weird, man. I don't, and maybe I'll learn throughout the season how to do this. But I also put Kamara, and like, but again, to me, it's like an obvious must start. Like it's
like the C-Mac to the Jets. Like C-Mac.
Yeah,
you
would never think about sitting those guys. And I kind of feel stupid for putting them. If I'm off the top of my head, because I don't want to use these obvious guys, I'd probably also say maybe Mike Davis versus Philly.
Yep, Philly's been horrible at stopping the run.
Yeah,
they're known for it.
Yep, and then a guy who replaced CMC last year put up CMC type numbers, in replacing them too. So I think he's a very viable running back, and I think those guys are going to open up the field too with at the wide receiving position. I'm talking about the Falcons offense when they have like Kyle Pitts at tight end, they have Calvin Ridley. Like, I think the field's going to open up for Mike Davis to do his thing when it comes like the run game.
And I will say this before you go on is I honestly have more confidence in a Mike Davis versus Philly than I do a Miles Sanders versus an Atlanta. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that the game's going to be more of the Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith show than a Miles Sanders, because like Miles Sanders is great. Obviously, it's viral. Like, dude's got massive thighs, like a Saquon Barkley. Like, they got tree trunks of legs, but doesn't translate. Like, he's kind of one of those guys I worry about in the pass game. Like, a lot of the running backs nowadays, you got to be able to catch the ball out the backfield. And Miles Sanders is one of those guys. He's kind of limited in that position. And obviously, if you know fantasy, it's valuable. So I think Miles Sanders could be anywhere from like a low end RB2 option, and then Mike Davis on the other hand, easily. I think the Eagles last year, they gave up like 80 yards, 90 yards average rushing to running backs. So, like, think about it. You got Mike Davis coming in who could do both. He can catch, he could run. Like, that's a dude I'm looking at like, okay, start that man week 1. Like, that is someone, don't be confident. Like, besides all the obvious ones, because you could say a Nick Chubb versus Kansas City. Like, that's obviously a good matchup. But, like, Nick Chubb's going to start. So, it's just the people you don't think of, really, to be honest.
No, 1,000%. No, I agree. Who's your must sit? Who are you sitting at the running back position?
Oh, this is tough. Must sit. Honestly, before we move on, I want to throw in John Taylor versus Seahawks, Jonathan Taylor. I think he's also a guy that you got to look at. I just noticed, like, they're playing the Seattle Seahawks, and they have a good secondary, but like, they stopping the run. Jonathan Taylor's I think this is his season, man. Like, over 1,400 yards. I had him last year, and he's going to eat. But to move on to someone who I think should sit, honestly, this is tough. I was looking at a couple guys. Like, you got Eckler. Obviously, he might not even play, but I was going to say him versus Washington. That's a tough matchup.
That was mine.
That's going to be a tough matchup for him. And you got – I mean, there's other guys. Like, I wouldn't say – I think you could still start – obviously, you should start Najee, but that Bills defense is no joke either. Like, there's a couple teams matchups that aren't really favoring the teams, but – honestly, you could even argue that if you have Saquon game 1 Broncos, I wouldn't even start him. Like, if you have other options like a Mike Davis, let Saquon give this game 1 to just get under his legs under him. Give him like a couple games. Let Mike Davis start in there. He's going to eat versus Philly and tear it up. And you got the Kamara versus the Packers. That's a great matchup. But not a lot of like bad matchups. You got Sony Michel versus the Bears. Like, that Bears defense, they can stop the run. I mean, they've always shown that. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a couple guys I guess I would refrain from.
Is he RB1 over there for them?
It's him and Darrell Henderson. I guess you could say like a 1A, 1B. I mean, that'd be a better way of saying it. I don't know who's 1, who's B, but Sony Michel's definitely going to split carries with them. So, I mean, they'll both be seeing action, no doubt.
You know who I'd sit? I was
Oh.
thinking about earlier, and this may be like a hot take because I know people like suck his D often, but my man Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't think he lived up to the hype last year after he was taken by the Kansas City Chiefs offense, high-powered team, but he didn't really live up to the expectations. And week one, he has a week one matchup against the Cleveland Browns, who, that black and blue division, man. They say about the NFC North and the AFC North, right? Steelers
Yep.
and the NFC North.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a tough, gritty defense. Plus, you factor in the added Jadeveon Clowney. Obviously, you have Myles Garrett in there too. And I'm pretty sure they signed a decent defensive tackle. I can't think of who it is at the top of my. Let me see real quick, actually.
And you're not completely wrong. I mean, they have Darrell Williams who stepped in last year, and he was basically their RB1 while Helaire was out, and they're coming back this year. He's not going to just explode. I don't know what the thing is with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, he's going to come in week one and just absolutely go off. But he's someone who, I mentioned earlier, passing off the backfield. He's a great option for that. He can catch the ball. He's more of a weapon in terms of, he's not going to get Delvin Cook type impact where you're giving him the rock and he's going to just eat up yards. But yeah, I like that. Honestly, Clyde Edwards, I like him as a player, but I agree with you and the points you made of he is a little overrated. Like, we have to see, and the Chiefs have a fantastic offensive line, which I think that's going to benefit Clyde Edwards-Helaire a lot. Like, this year, he could do things he might not even know he could do because that offensive line, they're stacked. Yeah. And they have such dangerous receivers. It opens up so much for him. So there's all the upside. But like you said, just off ability, a little overrated.
Yeah, I think a little overrated. He can be a starter throughout the season. I wouldn't start him every single week. He's not. No. I'm saying this is not the case for me. Personally. Considering
he was the first, people forget he was the first running back taken that year, in the draft. He was the very first one. So it was a lot of, and when DeAndre Swift was, I think, the second or third running back, and he's starting for a lot of people's leagues. So it depends how you look at it, but I agree with you. Maybe a little slightly overrated, especially game one versus the Browns, who do not play games, man. Their defense is atrocious. So
definitely respectable defense out there too. And like I said, adding Jadeveon Clowney, Want to move on to quarterbacks?
You go. Give me your quarterbacks first.
Okay, I'll go first. Surprisingly, and this may not be surprisingly, and this actually may not be this may be another obvious answer too, is Lamar Jackson. I think you actually start him this week. I think he's going to be utilized heavily. Obviously, missing a lot of running backs. They got to get creative on this offense. I think whether you're passing the football, you're spreading it around. Obviously, a lot of run options he's going to have too. They're going to rely heavily on Lamar Jackson. Now, whether that's pans out for them throughout the season in the terms of victories for the team itself, who knows? But fantasy-wise, Lamar's going to be busy. And week one he's healthy coming in, so I think he's going to be healthy enough to carry a load. And like I said, he's going to be doing a lot. So I think he'll be putting up a lot of points. That obviously, other than the obvious ones, like Patrick Mahomes,
right?
Lamar Jackson. The other guy I had though too is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray coming into his third year, under Cliff Kingsbury. Obviously, kind of explosive offense every once in a while when they feel like it. But he had a lot of big games last year. This year he had AJ Green, and I don't know that AJ Green is going to be the one recipient of a lot of yards and touchdowns and whatnot. But he will be a distraction for that defense. Taking some pressure off who I think actually is probably the best skilled wide receiver in the league is DeAndre Hopkins. And, I think him and Kyler, and obviously Kyler can run the football too. That's going to be my two must starts at the quarterback position. They're facing Tennessee, I believe, in week one.
Yep, Tennessee, week one.
Yeah, and Tennessee, their defense is respectable. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the defense that shined in the 2019 playoffs when they took Tom Brady's soul at the end of the AFC Championship game or the game before the AFC Championship.
Right.
So I think Kyler can get busy tomorrow.
And I'll give mine, and we'll go back and forth. So I'll give my first quarterback. I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. And I know this is a weird option. A lot of guys, including my coworker Adam, he tells me he's going to be out the league in a couple of years. But this guy, week one, is going against a team who pretty much gave up the most yards in the pass game and gave up the most yards to quarterbacks in the league last year. So if you got Jalen Hurts, a guy you can do both, you can use his legs, he can use his arm. He's QB1 now in Philly. I think that's a pretty good matchup versus Atlanta, who is pretty much transforming this defense. I mean, this defense is nowhere caught up to this offense. Matt Ryan, you could argue is another guy you want to start in the same game. He's going to go against a team who, again, is bad against the pass.
Lots of weapons too.
Yes, has lots of weapons. Kyle Pitts is going to go off game one. So you can make probably the argument for both of those guys, but like I like a sleeper, and this is very odd.
I like that. I like Hurts because, like you said, he's a guy, and much like Kyler, even actually more so than Kyler, and more so to like Lamar Jackson, is like he's going to get it done on the feet if he has to. You know, if he's feeling some pressure in the pocket, like, you know, don't discount him for making a play.
Right. And let me give me your second QB, and I'll reveal my. I kind of gave you two, but I'll give you a third after that one after you're done.
No, go ahead, give me a third. I went Lamar Jackson, and I did Kyler.
Okay, I honestly, there's one other guy.
I like that Jalen Hurts. So I like that one though.
Yeah, it's a sneaky one. Like, you know what I mean? It's someone that watch out. Like,
especially if you're doing like the daily leagues. Oh, Jeff, you gotta get on it. By the way, man.
I know. I heard a lot of money being made in those daily leagues. That's what I hear.
Yes.
Yes. All right, let me give you my next one. So, I was kind of torn. The next matchup, like a lot of teams are either versing like it's two good quarterbacks with defenses. Like it's tough. Like there's not a lot of good games. But I was looking at the number one overall pick going against the worst team in football, the Houston Texans. And think about it. Tyrod Taylor is going to give the ball back to them often. Like, not in terms of interceptions, but just 3 and outs. Like, they're not a very good football team. Trevor Lawrence is going to have plenty of opportunities, whether he wants to use his legs or his arm. I mean, the kid is athletic. So I think Trevor Lawrence is set up for a great debut against the Texans. I think it's at Houston, too, so it's going to be even more interesting. But another guy that I want to mention, like, who is someone who I think has a chance to have a good week one is a Zach Wilson against a Panthers team who they have such a young defense, and everyone's like, it's very promising. But even last year, I don't know how better they're going to get in a year. They were awful against the quarterbacks last year. Like, you know, they were, like, statistically. If you went against the Panthers, you're starting your quarterback. So what a game for Zach Wilson as well. Like, to come out in week one, like, you could say there's a lot of good teams reversing each other, like the Browns and the Chiefs. You know, it's like who you start in that game. You got the Cardinals and the Titans. Yes, you pick Kyler Murray. I think that's a great pick. But a lot of teams are just very, like, even in matchups. Like, there's only a couple teams. You could argue Jimmy G against the Lions, which I don't even want to get to that. But the guy, like, there's a couple teams you could argue, like, that are just versing such – Kirk Cousins against the Bengals, like, it's just like he's going to go off. I don't know. It's just how it works. But, yeah, throw in that conversation. I got Jalen Hurts, Matt Ryan, and you know what, I'll throw in Trevor Lawrence in there too, because he's versing such an awful team. Like, it's hard not to start the man.
Yeah. I actually have Trevor Lawrence in one of my leagues. I'm the guy who takes quarterbacks like dead last at times, and you know that was one of the guys I scooped up. And I like what I've seen in preseason. Like he's the real deal. Like, for sure,
ready to play. He's ready to play.
Yeah, he is. I'm nervous about him being a rookie, but with that said, I mean the Texans defense is like. You know
right, and he ain't going to get in a shootout to where, like, Tyrod Taylor's going to go on long drives. Like, it's not. He's not going to have a 15-yard or 15-play drive where he milks half the clock, half the quarter.
That game's set up to be a shit show. And where there's going to be tons of garbage and dumpster points. Like, everywhere.
It's going to be dumpster points.
I agree. All right, let's move on to the guys catching the footballs, the wide receivers. Who is your must start? Actually, real quick, who's your must sit for quarterback? I apologize before we move into that. Is there like a guy you're just not touching this week?
That's a tough one. For not touching, you could stay away from guy. Like, there's a couple matchups. Like, if you have, it depends who they have, but you stay away from the games where, I mean, there's a couple, like Stafford versus the Bears. I think he'll come out on top, but that's a tough matchup. Game one, man, you're going against a good defense. Like, And he's still figuring things out over in LA. So I would watch game one with Matthew Stafford. I think he's going to get so much better every single game after that. But other than that, like, you got a Justin Herbert against the Washington football team, which, I mean, I love Justin Herbert, but God, man, like, you got to watch the teams that are just atrocious on defense. I mean, that's pretty much all. I
agree. That'd probably be the one that I highlight, because there's some guy I think that are obvious. Like, I wouldn't touch either guys in the Dolphins-Patriots game. That too. I don't want none of that. But Justin Herbert is like a fantasy darling who's going up against a very tough defense and a hungry Chase Young who tastes the playoffs, you know what I'm saying, and knows, you know, what it takes to get there. And he's probably working even harder this year after that too. So, like, yeah, it's probably the darling I would stay away from. I guess a good point is Herbert this week.
We're not talking, obviously, this kid's going to be great. He's going to be fine the rest of the year. I'm just saying, like, certain matchups, man, just watch out.
Eckler's a little banged up too, so, like, I don't know. So, like, I don't know how – you know, I like that.
I don't know. I saw a report. Is he good? Keenan – yeah, he's good. Okay. I thought I saw, I thought I saw something with Keenan too, but no, he's fine. He'll be playing. But yeah, regardless, man, that pass rush, like Chase Young is picked in the next couple of years to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, if not this year. So like, guys going to get after, and the rest of the D line too. It's not just Chase Young. I mean, and the secondary, like you can go on and on about that team, but I would stay away from maybe those two matchups. I wouldn't say like sit them, but just watch out. Like Stafford versus the Chicago Bears, Herbert versus the Washington Football Team. Those two.
I'm going with you on that, and I probably also would stay away from. Let me go. I was going to say Herbert, but obviously you said him already. I would say, I don't know if this is obvious or not, I probably wouldn't start Derek Carr. Really
against that Ravens defense, man.
Yeah, and who knows? I'm saying the Ravens may give Derek Carr every opportunity to put up fantasy points, but he's never been consistently enough throwing the football for me to think that he's going to carve them up or do anything with those extra opportunities. So
right,
and like who? I mean, they got Henry Ruggs and like Darren Waller, I guess. Who's like their top receivers? I'd stay away from Derek Carr.
Yeah, no, I stay completely away. Besides, he's got Darren Waller, but they have linebackers. They'll have at least control of Darren Waller to a point where they can not lock him down. He's probably have a good game regardless, but they're gonna make things tough. It's not gonna be easy for Derek Carr coming out there. I don't know if it's away or it's at Las Vegas, but regardless, watch out for Derek Carr. Don't start him.
Who is your must-start wide receiver Week 1, 2021 NFL season?
Honestly, this is like an obvious one, but if people watched last year and watched what Stephon Diggs did to the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's one guy I want to say, like, and people are probably like, he's going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year he had 10 catches for 150 yards or something like that. Like, that is a man that don't worry, start him against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He'll be fine. He's going to go off in that game. And that's someone who if you don't have starting, you're completely you're I don't know what you're on. I want what you're smoking.
PPR, like he's going to get the catches regardless of whether there's the yak behind him. He's getting the ball. Yes,
for sure. He is definitely an option there, but more unobvious. I mean, he's the obvious pick. Yeah. I kind of struggled here. There's a couple guys, like, I don't want to make it too obvious. Robbie Anderson, obviously, I want to just talk about him real quick because he was having last year. He came off a little over 1,000 yards. I think at 1,100 yards. Now this year, game 1 versus a New York Jets team who they're figuring things out on defense, but that secondary is questionable. It still is. It still is very much questionable. I think this year he's got Sam Darnold, which, you could argue how much better is he getting from like a Teddy Bridgewater to a Sam Darnold. I think Sam's a better I think he's a more talented thrower of the football. I think he'll just do more with Robbie Anderson. I think he'll love Robbie Anderson early. So that's someone who I would probably look at week 1. And then obviously another sleeper that I like is Marvin Jones versus Houston. I don't know why. Like, I think he's a guy.
I think he's going to be Trevor Lawrence's guy.
Truthfully, if you look going back to the year Matthew Stafford was out for the Lions, who did all the backup quarterbacks love targeting? It's the guy, the veteran who you can always rely on. Yeah, can run everything on the route tree and get wide open. Like, that's Marvin Jones. Like, he'll do it for Trevor Lawrence. And I think week 1 versus Houston Texans, like, they don't have a secondary. They just traded one of their corners. They're getting rid of guys on their team right now. They're going into that rebuild phase. So it's a good year to target them in fantasy. And Marvin Jones for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think. And one more thing, I want to add in just like a surprise, like someone who I would maybe sit or just watch out for is wait a week or two before Odell Beckham. Like, do not start him against the Kansas City Chiefs. Do not start him against the Kansas City Chiefs. We don't even know if he'll play how many snaps. He's going to be on limited snaps. So that's a guy I'm staying away from for at least a couple weeks is Odell Beckham. But Marvin Jones, Stephon Diggs, obviously. That's just someone I'm looking for to have a big game. And then you could throw in who else did I say? Robbie Anderson. That's who I had written. So Robbie Anderson, Marvin Jones, those two guys I'm loving week 1. Loving them.
Yeah, speaking of Robbie Anderson, there's one guy, and I don't really have him on my list to start this week, but I'll probably just keep an eye out for him throughout the season. Is Terrace Marshall over there, and with Panthers too, because I expect him to take some snaps away from Robbie Anderson, and if anything, Robbie Anderson opens up the field for him, because people are more aware of respect him more.
And they got Curtis Samuel too over there, right? Don't they? I think, or they have somebody over there.
So one of the starts I have for this week is Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett going up against now a tough Indiana defense. Like, I will admit, you know what I'm saying, like the Colts have a solid ass defense. But with that said, Russell Wilson's gonna get busy, man. DK Metcalf, another guy who's gonna open up the offense for Lockett. I think Chris Carson, another guy to keep, the box maybe stacked at times too. And Lockett, not really consistent last year, but the big games he had were big.
Oh, yeah.
I think him coming into this season fully healthy, again, like the tension is going to be on DK and Chris Carson. I think, and don't forget too, Russ bolstered up this offensive line this offseason. I should say the Seahawks, but the Seahawks did it because of Russ. He was like, I might get the fuck out of here if you guys don't give me some.
Take care of me, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Nice. So I think he's got that protection. I think Lockett's going to be a beneficiary of that. Another guy I had on here, it's tough because I don't know who it's going to be yet. But who do you think? All right, so because I feel like I can put both these guys, but Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. Who do you think's going to be like Stafford's like favorite?
Cooper Kupp. No doubt. He's going to love Cooper Kupp. That guy is – he's not only obviously people know his talent. Robert Woods is extremely talented. I think that he's going to love both of them. I just think Kupp is going to be that slot guy, that
solid, sure-handed guy.
Yes, sure-handed. He's going to get wide open. He's the local Yak King in LA. He's their Yak King. But I think he'll love Cooper Kupp. That's someone that I was trying to get in many of my leagues, and he was just picked like a couple picks before mine. Could never get him. Yeah,
he was there a couple times. I just didn't know if I wanted to pull the trigger on him for sure or not.
Yeah,
just because they got like. The way McVay's offense is, like, it could be anyone, like almost any week, it feels like at times.
You're not wrong. Yeah. Sonny Michel could get 20 carries one game, and we don't know what's going on. We don't.
There was a sleeper receiver I put in here that I don't know if maybe he's not a sleeper. I mean, Brandon Ayuk against the Detroit Lions defense. We got to, as much as I love my Lions, like, we got to prove something to,
youngest team in the league, man.
We got to prove something to be respected. You know what I'm saying? And with that said, Brandon Shanahan is really creative, with his offenses. And I think, Brandon Ayuk is going to be part of that. He's a speedy guy. Our linebackers aren't going to be able to cover him in the slot. I could just see him getting busy across the middle on us all day.
No, yeah, for sure. Like, it's going to take – the key thing is young because, yes, they might finish the season better than what they started, but that's the key right there. They're going to start off rough, and we understand that. Like, they're still building chemistry. Like, Aaron Glenn's getting these guys ready. But how much – really can you get them ready until week one? You know what I mean? Like, you got training camp, but you have to see game action. Like, these guys got to get reps in games. So, and it's going to be a wake-up call. I agree. I think Brandon Ayuk, like, especially if Mostert gets going and it opens up hit, like, oh, God, I could see him going off.
And then the one other guy I wanted to make sure I say too, and I think, honestly, for the season, I'd stay tuned to this guy just because how much the chemistry was there between Zach Wilson and Western Michigan alum Corey Davis. I think he's going to be his go-to. He's drafted 8th overall a couple years back, in the first round. Like, the guy's got the talent, you know what I'm saying? And he just had to, he wasn't in the greatest position. Well, I guess he was in Tennessee, but, with the emergence of A.J. Brown and
kind of slowed him down.
Yeah. I think Corey Davis, though, he'll be the wide receiver one there in New York. They gave him a lot of money for a reason. Through preseason, he seems to be Zach Wilson's favorite target. And, Carolina's defense
Nah, I don't. Hey, I'm not disagreeing with you. And and what's more importantly, a couple guys are actually out that game for the New York Jets. They're missing a couple wide receivers with injuries. So Corey Davis moves up on that.
That's right. Jamison Crowder's out as well.
Yep. So he's gonna go. He moves up on that depth chart even higher. He's like wide receiver 111. Like, this boy is gonna get all the targets. So Corey Davis
again, is a good one. For anyone watching this too, like, we kind of like lumped this together like yesterday evening. So a little less research and like what we're gonna have for you in the future, but I totally.
We're just going off partially the dome. We're going off our feel of the state.
Oh, for sure, because like he wasn't even a guy I had on my list technically. The guys on my list, I'm like, these are like all obvious picks, other than maybe Ayuk. He was the guy I picked on the fly because I really do like Corey Davis a lot. All right, the tight end position.
Yep.
Who you got? Who's your must start?
Oh, I'm starting number 1, Dallas Goedert, against the Atlanta Falcons because let me tell you this.
Real quick, I'm so sorry. We did, and just because just so it's in sequence, I forgot to ask you who's your sit.
I'll say Juju Smith-Schuster. I'll quickly go over this because
I agree.
Going against the Buffalo Bills, and they're so great against wideouts. Like, their secondary does not play around. They got dogs in there. So I think last year they held him to I think he had 6 catches, but it was for 40, 50 yards. Like, they locked down. So Juju's my sit in the wide receiver category. And then Dallas Goedert, you got to start because he's going against an Atlanta team.
I want to get my sit in real quick too.
Okay.
Just real quick. Allen Robinson. I think a guy that a lot of people want to start because, he's Allen fucking Robinson. But don't forget the LA Rams got a hell of a defense, and he's going to be matched up against Jalen Ramsey, who you could say is familiar with them because they practiced against each other when they played in Jacksonville.
Right.
So that's my say at the wide receiver position. I saw it here on the page, so I wanted to hurry up and get it out. But Dallas Goedert, I'm interested in hearing this. Let's see what you got. I'm not too high on him, but I think
and let me say why. Let me give you. And this is someone that if you have him, start him. Obviously, it depends who you have in front of him, but he's going against an Atlanta team. This isn't false information. The Atlanta defense is atrocious, and especially in the tight end spot of the things because they gave up the third most fantasy points to tight ends. So it's like if you're looking at the statistics, Jalen Hurts is going to lean heavily on his tight ends. You see it with Lamar Jackson. You see it with other young quarterbacks. Like, they love their tight ends. And I think Dallas Goedert emerged last year, and it kind of Zach Ertz is there, but it's slowly going into Dallas Goedert's favor. Like, he's the man there. He's the tight end one. So I like Dallas Goedert against Atlanta. I think even there could be a situation where Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert get some plays. They make some plays. So Dallas Goedert's the man. I think start him week one. I mean, I got a couple other guys, but that's just someone I thought I'd throw in. It's interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm just not sure I feel about him just because of Zach Ertz, But obviously he's starting for a reason. But I don't know if it's. We'll see, man. I don't know how I feel about Dallas.
I think people are going to be surprised about Zach Ertz because I love Zach Ertz. The guy's great.
Joe Rogan, Brandon Schaub. No, I think you'd be surprised. No, Joe.
Yeah, right. He's like, no, he comes out week one, has 2 touchdowns. You're surprised. But I can see Zach Ertz has been like. Slowly, it could be the injury.
Oh, no, he took a big drop. Yeah.
Big drop.
He got hurt too, but he's never came back. He never bounced back after the injury.
And it's tough. And anybody who's played in the NFL, I'm sure knows this. Like, when you suffer those types of injuries and you have guys like Dallas Goedert stepping up, like, it's hard to just gain that position back unless you're a George Kittle and you miss half the season last year and you come back as tight end one again. But Dallas Goedert, man, like, let's just think about it like this. Jalen Hurts is going to favor who he favors. And I strongly believe, like, yes, Carson loves Zach Ertz. I think Jalen's going to love Dallas Goedert. That's just my prediction.
Yeah. Hey, man, we'll find out tomorrow, man. I cannot wait for tomorrow, man. There's just so much football. My tight ends, though, that, like, I mean, Darren Waller's up there, obviously. I think throughout the season, you start him every single game, but that's a dumb one. I think everyone who has him starting him every single game. But Noah Fant, those boys from Iowa get down. You're speaking on George Kittle, who turned to tight end one. Like, duh. You know, saying, like, these guys from Iowa, George Kittle, our guy T.J. Hawkinson, like Noah Fant from cut from the same cloth, very athletic. And I know that the Denver Broncos, they're nice in the receiving room. A little bit underrated in the receiving room, to be honest with you. I think that Tim Patrick they got, Jerry Jeudy, and I think Noah Fant is going to sneak in there. Catch a little floaters, a couple stuff across the field because with the wide receivers that they have, Noah Fant's matchups are going to be all linebackers. You may see a safety every once in a while, but I think those wide receivers can keep those guys busy enough to where you're going to have to rely on the linebackers to cover Noah Fant this week, and I think Noah Fant's going to take advantage of that. And they're playing against New York, who's never really been. Where was their defense? I think they ranked a little higher last year, but
yeah, they got a good defense. But no doubt, like Noah Fant's gonna eat, man. He had a good year last year, no matter who was guarding him. Like he's just one of those guys. Like he just gets open and he makes plays. Like it doesn't.
Yeah,
does not matter.
In New York, that mid-tier defense, like let's not forget they played in the NFC East last year. It was atrocious. Like, it's probably made them look a little bit better than they actually were. But other than that, Tyler Higbee. I think Stafford's always loved his tight ends. Like we said earlier, he likes a sure-handed guy. Thinking back,
that's a guy that I agree with you. I agree with you there.
Brandon Pettigrew. Let's put it this way: the Lions kept drafting tight ends maybe because they're dumbasses, or maybe because the star quarterback Matthew Stafford loved them. He took advantage of. Eric Ebron did some solid fantasy.
He could just catch the balls. Yeah, he could just catch the balls.
Either way, regardless, so Stafford loves his tight ends. T.J. Hawkinson, Eric Ebron. Maybe those guys were brought in there for a reason. Brandon Pettigrew and Higbee, sure-handed guy, and again, McVay could be creative. I think he's a solid starter.
Yeah, he's got and I honestly, that's not crazy. I had Higbee as like a sleeper. I have two guys as sleepers. Higbee is someone that easily could pop game one because he's got a guy like Matthew Stafford. Just had T.J. Hawkinson. We know he does not have a problem throwing to tight ends, and I think Higbee's not on T.J. Hawkinson's level, but he has, similar attributes in terms of he can just be that guy who gets 500-600 yards a year, be a pretty steady tight end. Jared Goff wasn't airing the ball out like that. He's got Stafford who's he ain't gonna have a problem throwing it to him, man. He'll love it. So I think that's a good pick. But another sleeper I wanted to mention is Austin Hooper against the Kansas City. Yes.
Okay.
Against Kansas City. I think they got Njoku, but you saw it last year. Like Hooper had flashes of being that dude for Baker Mayfield. Like he loves him. And now we're versing a Kansas City team who, they can't guard much of anything. Like their passing attack is not very good. You saw the game most of their games last year used to go high scoring. So just how it is. And I think Austin Hooper's a sleeper. He can come out. If they air the ball out, he's going to get targets. Njoku might catch a couple balls. But, yeah, I got Hooper as a sleeper. Watch out for him. I think that's the good matchup for him week 1.
So he's actually in my sit category.
Yo, tell me what.
So this is interesting, because actually Goddard and Hooper. And I'm not discrediting them as, like good players, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I mean, a little bit, you know what I'm saying? A little bit. But I guess in those guys, like, they're in, like, dual tight end offenses where, like, they're going to have to share the ball. Like you said, like, Njoku is there in Cleveland. And then with Goddard, you have the Ertz situation. Like, they're just going to have to share those tight end duties a little bit too, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, look, he got paid for a reason, I mean, we'll see. It's for me, on guys like that, it depends on like how the receivers are doing too, if they're going to open stuff up for them.
Right, and especially if Odell's getting limited snaps, what I mean, it opens up things for other guys. Like I just think
I think his like best season was with Atlanta, and he had Ridley and Julio opening the field up for him all day.
Right. We'll see. This is just sleepers. Like I'm not saying I'd start Austin Hooper, but don't be surprised. Like I just don't be surprised if that man goes off week 1. Don't be.
I feel that. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the defense.
All right, defenses. Yes. This is one that honestly, like, there's a couple defenses that I was thinking of like choosing between. Like, I personally in my league, I have the Ravens defense. And I'm loving it versus the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's a pretty good matchup. You could honestly go the Rams defense because Andy Dalton, something about him does not. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think Andy Dalton will he'll like a light that's about to go out. It's just flickering and it's about to go out. Like that's Andy Dalton. Like he's almost just out. Like he's just gonna hold on for the first 5-6 games and then he's just gonna go out. He's out. Justin Fields is getting in there. I think. And what a debut, man! Like a defense like that going against an offense like that. Like you got to start the Los Angeles Rams. But another team, I would start. There's tough. There's a couple teams like I was looking at. Besides the Ravens and the Raiders, you got the Los Angeles Rams and the Bears. I think
that's one
honestly,
I, really
I wouldn't be opposed to starting like either defense, the Broncos or the Giants, because they're both versing bad quarterbacks, and both of their defenses are talented defenses. Like the Giants have a stacked defense, Broncos do as well. So it's like either one is gonna. I mean, you got to look at who they're facing in quarterback in terms of the quarterback. And that game right there is 2 awful quarterbacks and 2 great defenses. So you can't go wrong in that game. But besides that, honestly, there's not too many matchups I'm liking, to be honest.
Yeah, like the defenses like this era, it's tough because you can't be as aggressive and physical as they used to be. But no, I agree with you. I think the Rams is probably like number 1 for me against Andy Dalton. You got Jalen Ramsey, who again knows the tendencies of Allen Robinson, which maybe Allen Robinson knows the tendencies of him. But with that, you have Andy Dalton throwing him the football. And if it's not Andy Dalton,
right,
it's a first year rookie. Obviously, all rookies are first year, but it's a really green rookie, and Justin Fields, who didn't play well enough in training camp and preseason to get the start over at Andy Dalton, knowing Andy Dalton is just Andy Dalton. You know what I'm saying? So the Rams are a must start for me. I think other than that, I'd probably 49ers all day, especially now, if you guys don't know, if anyone's not Detroit fans, anyone comes across this, our original starting left tackle, Taylor Decker, officially is on IR as of today. And so we will be starting Penei Sewell, who we drafted as a left tackle, but was moved to the right tackle position because we had Taylor Decker. So, Nick
that's
Bosa,
the obvious one. Start the 49ers defense.
Yeah.
Like if you're
Nick
not,
Bosa is going to get
crack.
busy. And then the Washington, I almost said the name they're not anymore, formerly known as. But, Chase Young, I think he's going to get busy this week. I mean, I don't see why he – you still there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm here.
Yeah. I go Washington, and then for sure Rams and the who the fuck else I just said? The Niners for sure though.
Yeah, that's really the best matchups you got. You got 49ers, which you should be starting, but
yeah.
Is there any like sleeper, like any not sleeper defenses because you kind of know just by looking at the matchups, but like anybody, like mine was honestly probably the Broncos or Giants. Like I don't know, that's like a gamble defensive game right there. You could choose either one. Teddy Bridgewater could completely crap the bed, or Daniel Jones could completely crap the bed, and I'd probably take the Broncos defense. But that's a good game right there. Just to like, you don't know. Like I like the Bears and the Rams. Or the Rams against the Bears in their defense. I like the Ravens and Raiders. I love the 49ers and Lions, even though got the hat on. But it's facts. Like if you're a fantasy owner and you don't have this team, you're probably going to get 15 to 20 points from this 49ers defense. Like they're going to get after Jared. And not just that, like in the pass game too. They're going to be all over the place. Yeah,
sleeper defenses. That's a good question. Maybe you start looking at the Packers. Yeah, because this is not a true home game for the Saints. The Saints are playing this game, I believe, in Jacksonville because of the hurricane in Louisiana. But the Packers have some respectable guys on defense. From Rashawn Gary, they have a freaking Tremaine, I think his name, the defensive back. I think he's really respectable. And then defense, maybe the Vikings and Bills. Vikings, I just say because they're going against Joe Burrow, a little bit. A lack of experience in the Bengals. Obviously, the Bengals have never been really great, and then the Bills going against Ben Roethlisberger, who may have looked great in preseason at times, but again, that's preseason. We saw him regular season last year, and he looked every bit of however the hell old he is right now, like 40 or whatever the hell he is.
I could see the Patriots defense, New England Patriots, just dismantling Tua. Like I don't know why, I just see it visually. Like when I look at the game Sunday, like this could very well happen. Like Bill Belichick, I know there's two young quarterbacks in this game, but I don't even look at Mac Jones as like a young quarterback. He's so ready to play like right now. And I know he's a first year player, but Bill Belichick, like when he's your head coach, that worry of being a rookie, I feel like just kind of goes out the window. Like he is so mature just by being in that system. Like Tua should be the one shaking in his boots as a second year guy, like going against Bill Belichick's record against young quarterbacks is ridiculous. And I think tomorrow they added Matthew Judon. They still have Gilmore. They still have that crazy secondary. They drafted a defensive tackle in the first round.
Bro.
And actually, don't start there. If he's playing on that field, you stay away from the defense. But if he's not on the field, God, New England defense, man, I could see Tua struggling in game one.
Yeah, I mean, kickers is the kickers. You guys do what you do with that.
Yeah.
I like the Bills kicker. Justin Tucker's like my superstition kicker. I draft him way too early than I should just because he's a dog, and every time I've had him, I've done really well. But the reason why I like the Bills kicker is like last year, I just noticed this throughout the playoffs. I didn't really pay too much attention throughout the season, but they're like really like incapable of running the football at times. And with that, those red zone and goal line situations, if they can't pound it in, and the whole team knows Josh Allen's dependent on throwing it, running it himself, like they may be in spots to kick the football a lot more than Justin Fields or whoever. Not Justin Fields. I'm sorry, Justin Tucker and whoever else. Right. I don't read too much into fantasy kickers. Maybe I should, though, because they do go off sometimes.
Yeah, I'm really just looking at the guys who I'm looking at teams who simply just can't score points. Like I looked at the Denver and the New York Giants game. Brendan McManus of the Denver Broncos, that guy is one of the best kickers in the league already, but that team is going to struggle. Like they're not going to be able to – Teddy Bridgewater is not going to clear 20, 25 touchdowns. So he's a guy that you probably want to look at and say, all right, well – we should probably start this man every single week. Or you look at a Graham Gano from, I believe he's the kicker of the Giants. So like Daniel Jones is going to have his struggles. We know this. So I love Daniel. I think he's a decent quarterback. He's got some problems to work out. And I think he struggles sometimes. And the kick is going to be valuable for the Giants. I don't think Saquon, he's going to be fine. But God, I would probably start Brendan McManus on that Denver Broncos team because they're just going to struggle, man. Just pick any bad team's kicker. You'll be fine. As long as he's solid, as long as he's accurate. You got to make sure he's accurate. But
all right. So before we end this, can I ask you, or will you sign for DraftKings and hit me with that 1v1 tomorrow just so we can revisit it next week?
Man, I'll see what I can do. I'll get it situated.
Put like a 5 spot on it if you want, or we do a free one. You just do a free one. But either way, I'm telling you, you need to experience this daily stuff. It's the
That's
best.
where you're picking guys of the whole like Sunday games and everything, and we'll look back on it in a week and see like who got the better? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so it's weekly. So you draft your new team every single week. They give you like 50K or 100K of like play money, and then let's say Patrick Mahomes is worth like 9K.
Do they go up according to matchups?
Yes.
Like,
yeah. So
okay, so
their value, depends on their matchup. So it's truly like skill, because like you have to get how we're talking about sleepers. You have to dig deep into some sleepers if you want to have some studs in your team. You know what I'm saying? It's
some guys
fun,
they're
bro.
not charging a lot for. You could get them and they'll go off.
Yes. Yeah. Like
Gotcha.
Higbee might be cheap this week.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk. If you guys are daily fantasy players, I believe he is really cheap. Him and Deebo Samuel. I don't know why, but
Debo's gonna go off. Both of them, man,
Yeah.
are gonna have great games.
Yeah. So can you take my offer up on that? Or?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Oh,
I'm
hell
down.
yeah.
Look, I picked the
Bet.
mic up. Let's get this thing situated. We'll revisit it.
Yes, sir. All right, I'm gonna put your social stuff right here. Look, you see, I already pointed to the wrong fucking thing. Put your social. It's so weird because like you're truthfully to my left here though. But I'm putting your social stuff right below your name here. If you guys want to find out who won the fantasy matchup, make sure you tune back in next week.
Yes, sir.
Maybe do a live stream. We see how this video does. If you guys want us to do a live stream, make sure you comment below. Let us know. Hit that like button. Share. If you said if you think we're fucking stupid, comment. Let us know. Let me know. I'm
Yeah,
stupid,
tell me why you disagree. I love when people disagree. It brings conversations up. You know what I mean?
And you know what? If I'm wrong, I learn. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ain't no wrong with
Right.
that.
That's all it is, brother.
But yes, sir. Jeff, you got anything coming up on your own, or you just want to shout anything out before we go?
No, honestly, I'm excited for tomorrow, man. The Detroit Lions debut,
Yes,
and I'll be
sir.
at the game. So, you'll be there too. Oh no, you won't be there.
No, I will not.
Oh, you'll be at another one. So, but it's gonna be fun, man. Detroit Lions. Hopefully, we don't get destroyed. Like, there's a difference between losing it and completely getting your behind blown out.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we can get the first one. We'll just lose. Hopefully,
I
it's
was going to
close.
see you win, but if they compete,
Hey,
I'll
we'll
still
rest
be
my
excited for the rest
case.
of the season.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, on that note, we out.
It's easy. Speak easy, baby.